And a few months in, I started to decompress. I started to get it together. I started to form a routine. I was no longer hanging out with the white-collar offenders who bitched and complained all day about the plight that was their life. None of them. But then I saw something interesting. I saw some of them going home, my white-collar friends. What do you think that's like? Somebody tell me, you're getting released from prison tomorrow. You're going home from prison tomorrow after a 5-year stint for wire fraud, securities fraud. How do you think you feel? Anyone? What are some feelings? How do you feel? What are some other emotions? Ecstatic? Well, I'll tell you what. I saw friends of mine, educated guys, a friend of mine went to Wharton, going home, before they were going home, yelling at their wife on the phone, go get me a job. I'm a convicted felon. I have no money. I have nothing. What am I going to come home to? I didn't like hearing that on the phone. Then I heard men turning down their halfway house time, which allows you to go home sooner, turning down their halfway time so they can stay in prison for another 6 months. Then I realized why they wanted to stay in prison. No responsibility to camp. It's a piece of cake. You know what it's like in jail? Wake up, walk the track, chow hall, do your job for a little bit. Tuesday night, it's bingo. We all get together, and big bingo night on Tuesday. This is what your tax dollars pay for, you should know. Wednesday night, biggest night in federal prison, we all get together for the Kardashians, all 500 of us. We get together and watch. That's what we do. It's what we pay for. Again and again and again and again, and no responsibility expected of any of us. Then I realized I wanted to be different. Because I asked my brother one time during a visit if he'd hire me when I came home. He's like, oh no, you're unqualified to work for me. There are too many men that have worked harder and longer and have more experience with what I do. I said, so you're not going to hire your younger brother? He said, oh no, you're unqualified. I will not be hiring you. I hope you have other plans upon release. And I said, well, I don't have any other plans upon release. I want to sell real estate. I'll go back, but I think maybe I'll lose my license. What do I do? He said, oh, you got to figure it out for yourself, bro. I'm sorry, I got to go. And he left. Still has yet to read my books because he's so disgusted I went to jail. He's a tough brother. Well, finally I got it together. I tried to, and I started to write. And I wrote a blog, and I sent it home. I started to get some feedback, and then I wrote a book from prison. It felt very good. I'll tell you what felt the best, and this is how I'll close. It felt the best that I thought for myself for the first time in my life, because when I was in my 20s, I had good ideas, but if I'd mentioned them to people, and they said they didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. I was always a yes guy. I did what everybody else said. I was afraid to dissent. I was afraid to be different. I never spoke up and did what I wanted. But you know what? In jail, I had absolutely nothing left to lose. Lost $1 million going to prison, my good name, embarrassed my parents, created victims, have my own tattoo of a felony conviction I have to deal with for life. You know what? When you have nothing left to lose, you truly don't care. You don't. I'm still sort of the same way now. I want to do great tonight. If I fail, I can't go back to prison. That's how I look at everything that I do. I wish I wasn't that jaded. I wish I wasn't that way. But that's what happens when you go to prison at a young age and lose so much and suffer so much. I don't care. And when you don't care, you can actually do some really great things. I'm respectful of others. I'm not rude. I don't take advantage of people like I once did. But I make my own decisions by verdict of my own mind. And that's the best part about going to prison. I do and think what I think is best for me. Want to know why? If I make a mistake, I have no one to blame. If I make a terrible decision tomorrow, it's my own decision. I can't blame UBS or corporate culture or my branch manager or my assistant or any of you. I can't. And I hope all of you get there without having to endure a life-changing experience. To think and reason on your own and feel comfortable with your own decisions and have enough confidence to do so. Because I think confidence comes from creation and hard work. And that's what leads to intelligence. I'm convinced of it. But I was afraid to do that in my 20s. Lastly, I spoke with a gentleman named Bob Eckert, who's the CEO of Mattel, a few months ago. And afterwards, I said to him, what's one trick, what's one piece of advice you would give for a future leader? Tell me. This is a top 50 company. And he said, Justin, I'll tell you what it is. I like people that will step up to me. I like people that will say no. Now, granted, if they say no, I need to know the reasoning behind why they're telling me no. But I don't like yes people. Those people will never advance in my corporation. So when you speak to students, let them know it's okay to say no. And if they're working for a company that doesn't allow it, simply tell them they're working for the wrong company, and in time they'll find the right one. If it's not Mattel, maybe it's something else. Don't be afraid to dissent. It's okay to say no to people. It's okay. I had a life-changing experience, a journey through the criminal justice system to learn these lessons. I'd do it all different if I could, but I can't. I can't. have much else to say. It's been a long day of speaking. I believe very much in what I do. I can't say that I conveyed my message tonight as best I could have. It's not an excuse. I'm simply telling you the truth. I did the best I could. I hope you learned from it. I hope it helps you. I hope it inspires you to do better when you're an executive. And if that's the case, then my trip from Los Angeles in the cold will be worth it. It'll be worth it. So I thank you very much for listening. And if you have some questions, I'd love to answer them. Thank you very much. Yes.
How do you feel about the millions of blacks who are sentenced to prison for smaller crimes than fraud? And when they're in prison, they go through tremendous torments like using prison guards and feeling hungry, being raped in prison. And once they get out of prison, they have no job prospects. And while they're in prison, they're like pressured to join gangs, like other terrible things happen to them. And for you committed fraud, and now.
Not even a year and a half, 1 year.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just furthering your point because I agree with you, but go on.
And you're selling people, you stole so much money. Now that you're out of prison, you're offering a book, you're paying money, you're paid for responsibilities, all this. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's right?
Well, I have a lot of,
More ethical than
let's
the average person?
let's talk about that for a couple minutes. I understand what you're getting at. I get it. Let's talk about the first part. I, too, agree that there is a significant disparity in sentencing. I, too, agree that if you've been convicted of selling drugs, that you shouldn't necessarily receive 10 or 20 or 30 years in prison, whereas a guy like me who's helped facilitate a fraud to the tune of $5 or 10 or $50 million only gets 80 months.
You think you should have gotten longer?
Yes, I think I should have gotten longer in prison. I think I should still be there, actually. But that's our sentencing laws. That's the way our sentence works. I'm certainly not going to stay there longer. I wasn't going to say I'd like to stay. But I was sentenced under the rules of I was sentenced according to our laws. I, too, agree with you that sentences for nonviolent drug offenses are way too long, that there are too many men, good men, serving time in prison for these crimes. Yes, white-collar guys and drug offenders are sentenced too differently. They need to be more even. It's a two-tiered system of justice. I totally agree. The second part, you know what, I believe that we're all entitled to a second chance. I'm convinced of it. Just like someone that's out of shape can work their way back into good shape through exercise, some of them once made bad decisions like me, I think, can introspect, work hard, atone, reconcile, and be given a second chance. Isn't that what America talks about? If I choose to use that experience to educate others and myself, then I think I should be afforded that opportunity. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. However, well, that's the best part about what I do, truth be told. Not everyone, that's the best part. No, I understand. The best part about what I do is not everybody has to like it, because not everyone has to agree. Some people don't like my books. Some people don't appreciate what I do. Some people like you could argue that I forfeited my right to talk about ethics and morality, and that maybe I was a rich white guy who went to jail and I'm now using that experience to enrich myself. You know what, I get it, I see it. However, there are those that recognize maybe there will be some dilemmas in the corporate world, and hearing this story will make me do better. My feedback proves to me that it is. The reviews of my book and those that read it and support it convinces me that it does. I respect you for maybe disagreeing. I can tell there's a tension and a tone that upsets you. I've gotten it. I've gotten it, and I'll continue to get it. Those are the perils that follow going to jail and speaking about my crime. I knew it the day I got out of prison and spoke. And I'd be lying if I said this was the first time I've heard this. What else? Okay. Any other softer question? Yes.
Do you think if the management wouldn't have agreed with you about the disclosure letter and given you a reason to rationalize it, that things would have turned out differently?
Yes, well, when I went to them about the disclosure letter, yes, it would have turned out differently because my business partner and I were so uncomfortable with the losses that we had to find some way. If it wasn't the disclosure letter, it probably would have been, you know what, actually it wouldn't have turned out differently. We would have probably just continued to do business as usual. The problem with the disclosure letter was it gave us a great sense of comfort. I'm telling you, every time a new account came in, as long as I saw that disclosure letter signed, I felt comfortable. I felt okay. I felt as if I was protected.